16th to order. Lesson, please. Dearly Father, we're thankful for this day, and Father, we're thankful for this wonderful community we're able to live in. Help us to be good stewards of our customers' funds and services that we render, and protect all of our employees, Father, and their families. Thank you for the growth that we're seeing in the north part of the county, and we just ask that you continue to bless this county and its leaders, and also that we can provide the necessary water and sewer to meet their needs. Thank you for the opportunity we have to serve the others. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Public comment, there's no public comment. We move to the approval section, minutes from the June 18th, 2025 Combined Facilities and Finance Committee meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Item 2, minutes from the June 18th, 2025 executive session, subject to any necessary changes.
Motion, we accept the meeting minutes from the executive session, June 18th.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Comprehensive agreement, Glenn New Hope, 1043 LLC, Mr. Burris.
Yes, sir. Need to defer this to the next meeting based off of requested changes by the developer per the agreement. So we'd like to request that this get deferred to the next meeting. The same thing will happen at the Finance Committee and at the full commission tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to defer this until future date,
August meeting. Yes, sir.
Second.
August meeting.
Motion second, any questions? Are we going to defer it tomorrow too?
Yes. August.
Carries 3-0. Contract award engineering services for master plan update, Mr. Burris.
All right. Twist around so I can see. All right. So typically we update our master plan every 5 years. It's good for us to have a master plan so we can look forward. We typically do 20-year master plans. Our last master plan was started in 2020. It was completed in 2021. And then Glynn County and the city of Brunswick both updated their comprehensive plans in 2023. And with those comprehensive plan updates are updated population projections, land use maps, everything like that. So it works out well. Basically, we update our plan, and in the intermediate, they update their plan, so we're always using the most recent numbers. So given that it's been 5 years since we started doing the new master plan, we put out an RFP to update the master plan in May. There are 8 tasks associated with this. Available data review, we collect a tremendous amount of data, both through CityWorks and our new AMI meters, SCADA, everything like that. Development that we've had and we have records on. So we'll submit all that information as requested by the engineer to complete to update the plan. They will update flow projections. They will take those population projections produced by the city and the county and update flow projections based off of the service areas. And this time with the new AMI meters, we'll have a lot more specific flow measurements from the AMI meters. We will be getting a major asset condition assessment, so they'll go through all 3 of the wastewater facilities, check out our well facilities, and then a selection of lift stations they will go and physically do inspections of with their engineering team. And then from those 3, between the data that we have, the projected flows, and the condition assessments, they will then generate the rehab plan for the next 20 years. Now, the rehab plan is not something we follow in a direct order. It's a guideline. We do it based off of risk scores through asset management, based off of the condition and the consequence of it failing. And so we get a list of here's the one that need to be done in the next 5 years. They're not in necessarily a specific order. And then we'll also take, based off of those population projections and the land use maps, where we might need to be looking to expand our system to increase service areas. This can be with the continued focus on infill development as we have been doing, or for areas where the county, the city not so much because they don't really have a lot of undeveloped property, but the county has designated as potential residential areas that need to be serviced in the future. And then from the rehab and expansion plans, they will then develop a cash flow needs forecast for us so that we will not use this necessarily to project rates going forwards, but it gives us an idea of where we need to be moving forward with our rates. They will then come to the Facilities Committee and the full commission and present the master plan for your review and acceptance. And upon the completion of that, they will generate a project database that will be delivered to staff. That is a tool that we can use to go about updating the plan as we complete projects. And the unfortunate reality is updating the cost of those projects as they're currently in the plan to make sure that those are updated moving forward so we have that cash flow where it needs to be at based off of current pricing. The last master plan was begun right during COVID before everything went crazy with prices. And so the prices you see in there are not reflective of the current environment. So I would suspect that this iteration of the master plan is going to indicate that we need to spend more money than the last master plan just because of the cost of construction has went up so much since we updated it last time. We did have 3 proposals submitted to us. All those proposals were scored by a 3-person team, shown in the attachment. The highest scoring team is Four Waters Engineering. Four Waters has completed the last 2 master plans that we have done, and members of their team worked for the firm that did the previous 2 master plans. So we've got members of their team that have been working on our master plans for over 20 years. So the highest scoring, Four Waters, with an average score of 95 out of 100. Cost to do the master plan from Four Waters is $363,550. Pricing was considered as 10% of the score, and you will notice that Four Waters got a 9 out of 10 and Kimley Horn got a 10 out of 10. Kimley Horn was slightly less costly than Four Waters. I believe their number was around $330,000 for that work. So Four Waters, with the entire scoring factors, did score higher, but they did not score the highest on cost because they were not the lowest cost option. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions. This will be funded from uncommitted funds in the R&R reserve at this time.
Seems like a bunch of money.
I understand, yes, sir. The last one was $260,000, I believe, 5 years ago.
Can we take the last one and just do it ourselves?
I don't know that we have enough staff availability to do that. I think we have the skills to do that, but I don't know that we have available time.
Everything on the 5-year plan?
We haven't finished everything. We've addressed the majority of the 5-year plan, just maybe not in the ways that the master plan identified to address. Some of the projects have been funded, have not been completed yet, but a lot of the projects that we've started in the last 5 years or have funded in the last 5 years that we haven't gotten to yet were master plan related projects.
A lot of this is going to be based on population projections that the county
And the city have done, yes.
adopted, but that was 2 or 3 years ago.
That was in 2023, yes, sir. That's when those plans were.
Will they be adopted and updated?
That'll be 2028 for the city and the county on the next time.
They do it every 5 years.
They do it every 5 years, and we kind of go right in the middle.
We're mandated
Yep.
to do it. And
What exactly are you hoping to gain by this?
I think getting a third-party review of our major asset conditions are very helpful. And for our purposes, the master plan is sort of a guidepost for what we need to do moving forward. Sometimes we deal with things, the things that keep you up at night are the ones that call you at 2 in the morning, and that might not actually be the most important thing we need to get taken care of right now.
Well, I know in the last one, they had a lot of work on a lot of pump stations.
A lot of work on a lot of pump stations.
I know those happened.
We've worked on a lot of pump stations in the last 5 years, yes, sir. There's a couple of them that were in that 5-year portion that we have not gotten to, but we've gotten to the bulk of them, yes, sir.
What have we not done in the 5-year plan?
Well, hang on, let me pull it up. Assuming I can get this to pull up.
really shocked, Andrew, you don't have that at the tip of your tongue.
I've slept once since then. BC3 shares is on here. Okay, hang on.
So how much do you actually expect this company to go out and inspect the assets?
They will do, like I said, they do all 3 of our wastewater plants, they do all of our well facilities, and last time they inspected 25 pump stations. And we'll get a different 25 inspected this time.
Is,
This is the only way that
It's not the only way to do it, no, sir.
identified in those assets?
No, we do internal inspections, and our crews are out there, but to get this is the only mechanism we currently use to do a, third-party inspection.
And is grant, FEMA funding, any of those kind of things tied to a master plan? If you don't have it, you don't get it?
Yes, sir, they want to see that the work that you are utilizing is part of a plan that you've got moving forward, and that's why they also request that you put, of course, flood resiliency and things like that in the master plan process.
I know with the county, that's one of the reasons we continue to do it, because a lot of funding is tied to it, so. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm not gonna be able to pull the plan up unless they've got the updated one on the website, which I guess it should be. I can't get to the planning drive. This computer doesn't have access to the planning drive.
It's on the website too.
Yeah.
What percentage we've done, they recommend.
Sure. No, we've gotten the bulk of what they've said in the first 5 years done, particularly on the sewer side. Some of the water projects we haven't got to, but on the sewer side, we've gotten to.
This would be the third straight year they've done it, third straight time they've done this.
Yes, correct, yes, sir.
But on 5-year intervals?
Yes. So they did the 2015 and the 2020 update.
JWSC was formed in '08.
And so they had done the county's water and sewer master plan. A firm that one of the individuals worked for had done the county's water and sewer master plan in 2005 and 2000 as well. So she's been involved with 20 years worth of master plans for us. Master plan is 300 pages. If you are ever struggling to sleep at night, it is more effective than counting sheep. Yeah. Don't hit print if somebody else is trying to print to the copier, because you will lock it down. Not that I have done that.
Somebody else look at it over again too.
Certainly, as
Like them,
so the water plan, we haven't gotten to it yet, but we've got funded projects to work on the Harrington well, system-wide SCADA. We've started, obviously, we continue to work on the galvanized pipe updates. Like some of these neighborhood projects, Fairway Oaks, Sea Palms, Waverly Pines, we have not got to those yet. But so on this page on the water side, the well work, a lot of that's either funded or has been completed. So say, let me find one here. The electrical systems are what we're got to replace that we got that project funded for, we haven't gotten started on the 5-year portion. Let's see, that's the 2026.
systems on some of the pump stations.
On the pump stations, yes, sir, that's just the water side. Let me get down to the sewer side. So sewer side, they recommended I&I reduction projects. We lined in the 4035 basin, we lined in the 4021 basin. We've upgraded Dunbar. We haven't got to exit 29 yet. We've done 2001, 4002, 3101. We've done some rehab. We need to do some more rehab in the 2WTP basin. We've done 2002. We haven't done 2023 or 3129. We did 4001. We've done some, I don't know if we did everything on this for 3114. So we've been going down the list, knocking a bunch of these off in the last 5 years. We've done a lot of work at 4017, 2032, 2003 we haven't done a substantial amount of work yet. So that's probably about what we have gotten to on that first 5-year list.
And with this, or is the fact that we had so many that we didn't have the deed easement?
That has not necessarily slowed anything up on this because we have been operating those pump stations for so long. Honestly, what has slowed, I guess, keeping up with this 5-year plan more than anything is just the available funding. You go through and, you know, for example, this project was supposed to, let's pull up one that I know the numbers on. 4002, their recommended rehab was $400,000, and it came in at 1.2 million. You got a finite resource, you're not gonna get to all of it in that regard, so.
And my point being, as part of the master plan, shouldn't it be to clean up our paperwork?
We can try to get them to assist with that, sure.
It's, and a lot of this predates even stormwater and sewer.
Sure,
It was-
absolutely.
But I do believe that we need a focused effort on getting these things cleaned up.
Let's see, we also did an expansion plan, which we have begun some work on the expansion plan, the 500,000 gallon tank. We did a 750 building that at Highway 99. Canal Road upgrades, that has been almost completed now. We've knocked off some things, water main extension projects, things like that we've done in the past 5 years. So if you go down and wanted to check off in order that they're listed, you're not gonna find all of them have been done. But you'll find a bulk of the ones from the first 5 years have at least had some progress made on them. Or at least are in the works now.
How long are the prices good for?
Ms. Pam, do you remember was it 30 days or 60 days? Something like that, yes.
Go back a couple steps. I guess part of my questions kind of is, you have a master plan in one hand. Then you have a deficiency report in another hand. They don't go together. The deficiency reports are typically done by inspections.
Mhm.
That really should be done on a yearly basis to create work reports,
Sure.
right? Are they taking, like, some of your work requests and incorporating in their master plan?
Yeah, so we'll turn over all of the work orders we've done. We'll download all that information and send them to adult. Well, we won't download all. We'll get them access to CityWorks, and they can come in and look at all of the work. And so we can pull that information of where we've been doing maintenance at, and they may look at that and go, y'all been having to unstop these pumps a lot. Here's a solution for that. Here's a project to solve that problem, things like that. We do inspections of our assets. We visit our lift stations. Every lift station's visited at least once a month. Most of them are visited more often than that. So we do generate work outside of the master plan, but most of our capital projects don't come from that. They more come from either master plan work or capacity needs that have sprung up in the last 5 years. I mean, we talk about population projections just got done 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, the population of Glynn County seems to be rapidly increasing every year these days, so.
See, on the first one they did, it was based on a big growth.
A big growth, right, and this one was, we
Next one
backed
was
off.
slowed down, it was much smaller.
Mhm.
Experiencing that big growth from the first one.
I don't think it quite hit the levels the first one said we might hit, but it's faster than what the last one was, yes, sir.
Well, one thing's for sure, like the report and the cost projections based on a 2020,
Right,
that's pre-COVID, and it's a different world post-COVID. And hopefully, things have stabilized so that you'll have better projections going forward. But those several years through that transition was, all of our county projects are just unbelievably over
yes, sir.
what the projections were. And some of them, we were building in a 30% escalation on it, and that didn't come close to covering, so.
I've told people this, when I used to estimate projects, you can get the material costs you can get in the ballpark of that pretty well based off what you got. You used to take it and the material's this, and then you double it, maybe 1.5 times that for a special project, and you'd be in the ballpark. Now here's materials, multiply it by 4.
Do they do an analysis of the systems, the water and sewer, for what they consider possible growth, and say, you know what, you need a 16-inch line
Yes.
down this road later?
Not on this, yes and no on that. They update our water model. They're the one that built out our water model. We can update that internally, but as part of this, they will completely update the water model with all the new information and rerun that, and they can simulate based off of the growth patterns where we might need increased water main size, things like that. We do not have a sewer model. That's all done tabletop calculations on the sewer models. We've never built out a full sewer model. And the board has not previously been in support of building out a sewer model. Because, I mean, you can calculate the capacity of a sewer line. It's a little bit different than a looped water system where people are pulling from multiple directions. This involves updating the water model. It does not, it was expressly stated that it did not involve updating a sewer model, because that was one of the questions that was asked by the firms.
What is the turnaround time on?
9 months. 9 months. The goal would be, if this is awarded this month and they can get started in the next few weeks, that this would be completed by the end of May, early June next year, so it would coincide with that being accepted by the board going into the new fiscal year.
But not soon enough to include recommendations into the budget that you would need to.
We'll have some preliminary numbers, but not final numbers, yes, sir. Yeah. So yes, part of what we'll do and what we did last time with the facilities committee we would have facilities committee workshops with the master planning team as portions of that. We would do that again to keep everybody up to date. We would typically, on the Wednesday of, not every month, but when we needed to do one, we'd schedule one at 10 o'clock or something like that.
A whole lot still to be done on that other plan.
Well,
Probably ought to be given priority over spending money on updating the plan. Maybe do a plan in another 2 years or so.
that's certainly an option. We can continue just, I mean, yes, if we updating the plan every 5 years, there's always going to be projects left over that did not get done in the previous 5-year period. And so a lot of it would be the same. Obviously, conditions have changed from both flow, population, and just the condition of the assets in the last 5 years. It might change the priorities in some order, but a lot of the projects are going to be very similar, of course.
They prioritize them, don't they?
Yes, they prioritize them based off of a calculation of the probability of it failing, which is the condition score, and the consequence of it failing, and you multiply that and get a total risk score.
What about if it were postponed, where does that get into the qualifying for the grants and other federal funding that we'd be asking?
We would have to confirm how often it would have to be updated. I don't know if it's every 10 years or what the limitation is.
Counties on our comprehensive plan, it is a 5-year mandate.
Like I said, it's 5 years is historically what we've done. I think it's probably best practices to update it every 5 years. But certainly it can be delayed if that's the will of the commission.
Concern I have is, St. Simon's for a sewer system. Flows, no flows. And we've done some sewer rehab. We did flow testing and we've done some sewer rehab. But I'm not sure that we've really found the problems in St. Simon's.
Yes and no. We have addressed a tremendous amount of I&I issues on St. Simon's, but we had a major underground contract work going on that generated a tremendous amount of new holes in our pipe. Yes. I'm not going to say that is by no means the sole cause of increased I&I on St. Simon's or the mainland, but that is a tremendous contributor because we found dozens of them.
Now, are they gonna find any I&I issues?
They will, from an I&I perspective, we do it in-house as well, but they'll take all that data and compile projected flows versus what we're seeing and to determine where they've identified, not this segment, but this basin we need to do additional work in this basin for I&I issues. They won't necessarily be able to tell us immediately whether it's rainfall or groundwater, but they can give us some suggestions in that regard.
So if it's due to the cable being put in, it should be countywide. That's the same problem.
We have yes. It's not just,
It's showing up more in Dunbar.
well, not necessarily, it hasn't shown up more at Dunbar, it's just going from 3 to 7 shows up quicker at Dunbar than going from 8 to 12 at Academy
How
does.
do we find those problems?
Typically, we'll either get a blockage because it'll rag up, or we'll start having sinkholes. Other than that, it's through,
I can be proactive to it.
well, what we do, we inspect the lines, we jet lines, and then we'll find a blockage when we jet the line, or we think it's a blockage, and it's actually a fiber connection that has went through our line, or when we put the camera in the line. But the goal to camera the system is once every 10 years. So, I mean, you're not gonna get through that in a year. And so we jet the system every 5 years. And so we continue to find these issues, but not with just one fiber contractor. We found 8 to 10-year-old fiber strikes. There was one right there at Altama and Altama and Cypress Mill Road, right there at that major intersection, that was at least 10 years old when we cambered and found it. A lot of the laterals get hit, and that's where we find a lot of the customers start backing up because their laterals got struck. We found a lot of those thus far. We found the 8-inch main in the 4017
The
basin.
master plan they're gonna do is just gonna tell us that. That's all they're gonna say.
I don't think that's all they'll tell us, but that would probably be near the top of the list.
We
Just,
gotta do the work to find it.
they would identify basins. I mean, if it's not something the board wants to move forward with, we don't have to do that at this time.
I think what Wayne says is actually the most critical thing. You know, if you really want these GIFA stuff, and you need to have this, then
I mean, they're not gonna reinvent the wheel on a master plan. They're gonna give you a 30,000-foot view of what you're looking for going forward.
And you have to
We have
move
to
and
adjust.
adopt,
We adjust
adapt
as things
as you
come up.
go.
Yeah, we adjust as things come up and
And-
move forward. When they were talking about the master plan 5 years ago, they weren't moving all of the row from Savannah down to the port at Brunswick. I mean, things happen in a 5-year window that changes a lot of different things. Yeah. There were not 6,000 houses planned to be built on Highway 99 5 years ago.
It's a big number to swallow, you know. I think that's where heartburn is.
every 5 years,
Yeah,
it's only gonna get worse.
yeah.
Still got 50% or more than that before we have it done.
Of
Previous.
the previous master plan, yeah, we got, well, it's a 20-year plan, so you got probably 75% of it that hasn't been done.
20-year plan, why aren't we doing it once every 20 years?
Consider how much it would change in 20 years.
I really think we need to have it every 5 years, or maybe should be every 7 years. Now that you've got an updated staff.
Mhm.
System.
We know a tremendous amount more about the system than we did 5, 10 years ago, for sure. We did a lot of work internally to identify, and I've said this at multiple meetings before, we identified where every water meter, what sewer basin that drained to, that previously was not done. We've done that in the last 5 to 7 years. So we have a tremendous amount more. We've updated our SCADA system, so we have accurate run times and it's able to access all that. We have a tremendous amount more information than we used to.
But would it be possible to table this today to find out if it's mandated that we do this every 5 years? I mean, that would.
We can
that would
confirm
answer-
with the funding agencies if it has to be done every 5 years or not. Like I said, it's been our historical practice to do it every 5 years.
I know
If-
my previous employer used to kind of dictate 10 years.
And could we get that information by tomorrow and then vote on it tomorrow if it's mandated?
Sir,
that-
we
that
can we can certainly do our very best to have that information to you by tomorrow.
Is that possible to? I mean, if it's mandated, you know, it just ties our hands behind our back. It's got to be done. If it's not, then we've got flexibility, but sitting here right now, we don't know if we have that flexibility.
We've improved our system an awful lot.
Yeah.
We've done $100 million worth of work in the last 5 years.
And
real dollar values.
And these things, you know, usually, like with our comprehensive plan at the county, it was the information that they were supplying us to make our next 5-year plan was already out of date because the available information they had was 3 years old, and that was the latest information they had to give us. And
That's
it
what
was
happened
during-
with the 2015 plan. They were, the most recent population projections they had access to were from 2008.
Yep.
But you were here in 2008. 2008 was a different time than
Yes.
2015 was, and that's how that population number in
And-
2015 got way out of hand.
That's the reason I'm not a fan of these things to start with, but it's, you know, if the government mandates that you got to have them if you want federal funds and state funds, then that's what you have to do to get it. So if,
Now, we are required by EPD to have asset management plans, but this doesn't qualify as that. So we'll have to confirm with FEMA and SRF if those are requirements for either of those funding sources.
I
We can
don't
have
know.
the, I mean, if we can try to track the information down for tomorrow, that won't be a
I
problem.
mean, is it proper that we could table it today for consideration tomorrow as a recommendation, or?
But I'm just concerned, there's a lot of things we've learned about St. Simon's, so we start moving and getting some things done, St. Simon's. So we don't have the issues that happened at the plant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We've done a lot of studies, but they didn't show we had a big problem. Kimmy Vaughn's study didn't, I mean, I think it said it looked pretty good, and we addressed the problem, we thought. So maybe we need another study like that, rather than a master's plan, and that's a pretty expensive study.
Yes, sir.
Then
Well, they need to get to the work.
I would suggest that we table it today until tomorrow, and tomorrow, if we don't have that information, we'll
Then we
push it
defer
to
to
next
August.
month.
Yeah, yeah. Certainly can be done, 100%.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to table.
Defer, can't table. Defer.
Correct. Defer the recommendation for the master plan until our meeting tomorrow to see if we can ascertain as to whether or not the timetable of 5 years is mandatory on our master plan.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
But going back to what Ben was saying, what study were you talking about?
We did a smoke testing and nighttime flow study on both the mainland and St. Simons, and that was done 2018, 2019, something like that. We did system-wide smoke testing on St. Simons and found some cross-connection issues with storm drains. We found a lot of clean-out caps that had been knocked off over the years, and we identified sources of I&I in that way. That was a couple $100,000, and that was 7 years ago, so.
Viable,
Well, cards on the table, I was gonna bring one of those in here in a cute couple months too. We need to do it again, 100%. We need to do it again, both the mainland and the island. And I think what you're gonna find is a lot of new holes have been put in the lines.
I hear what Andrew's saying, but I just would rather spend this money doing some of those studies rather than get somebody telling us we gotta do that.
Okay?
We already know what we gotta do.
Yes, sir?
The system pretty good now.
Yes, sir. All right. Did we vote?
Next item is, go to discussion, water production report, Mr. Burris.
Yes, sir. For our water system this month, average flow of 8.7 produced, 8 million metered, which is a unaccounted for water number of just shy of 8%. That's going to fluctuate some as we calibrate meters on the wells and things like that. Also, obviously, June was a much rainier month. May and June were rainy compared to April, so outdoor water usage has still been higher with, of course, increased people on St. Simon's as well for the tourist season, but 8.7 MGD system-wide for the month, almost 99% through the AMI system. We recently had, Ms. LaDonna, how many high-gain antennas installed to help some areas we were not getting the AMI readings? Yeah, they
What are
produced a
those-
new
what do they-
high-gain
what do they
antenna
look-
to,
What do they look like?
they,
They look exactly like the old ones did, you know, how old ones have the silver soft silver in them, except these have slits and a little plastic insert. And we couldn't get much more information than that, because right now there's a patent pending, and the gentleman who actually created this new antenna works for NetLink.
so the hope is some of the areas that we may
Look
have.
for stop signs and stuff like that, or what?
No, these are on the actual meters, the antenna that drilled through the lid. And so we have some areas that are more challenging than others to get AMI readings in. So we're piloting 30 of these new antennas to see if that might solve the problem. Neptune's been very helpful, and we've been very helpful to Neptune, I believe, with feedback, and they're providing opportunities for us to test things, and so it's been a good partnership for us. And so hopefully we can eliminate some of these. If this works, eliminate some of these that we're still having to go out and do the AMR reading on with these higher gain antennas.
So right now, when you take a reading, you just drive by.
Right now, we click a button, and 98.79% of them come in that way. The rest of them, we have to go drive by. Because our current AMI meters do have AMR fallback. AMI is done digitally, AMR is done through radio reads with the truck. And then, of course, there's always a handful that won't pick up either one of them, and you have to lift the lid. Typically, what we find when that happens is someone has put something metal over the top of the box, and it's not transmitting the signal because you have a, large metal structure over the top of it. Did hear at the conference this week that in one of the storms, people were putting their storm debris on top of their meter boxes so they couldn't get a meter reading, which I thought was a creative way to avoid paying your water bill for the month.
We'll catch up next month.
Apparently they called up next month, they got mad because their bill doubled. Well, it didn't double, you just didn't pay last month.
Andrew, why is the Howard Coffin well not running yet?
Okay, Howard Coffin well is running, it just was not running by June 30th. The motor was ready, but according to EPD standards, you cannot leave a well running that is not secured, and we've been waiting on fencing to be installed. So we could have ran it if we were sitting there the entire time it was running, but we put up temporary fencing. I haven't been by this week, I don't know if the permanent fencing's up, but the temporary fencing is installed and it is running now. So, and that became a little bit of more of a issue. The reason we had to scurry and put temporary fencing up is because the well motor burned up at Goodyear, because it's been running 50 million gallons a month for the past 4 months, and so it'll take a week or two to get a new motor in on the Goodyear Park well, so Howard Coffin is back running, but currently Goodyear Park is not because the well motor has burnt up. We've utilized Brunswick Villa in the interim when the well motor burned up at Goodyear Park and not at Howard Coffin, because it didn't have fencing. We're trying to utilize Brunswick Villa as little as possible, given its proximity to the saltwater plume. The rest of them very similar to what you would see on a typical month. Fletsy picked up a little bit of the more flow for the month, but I-95, Golden Isles 1 and 2, very similar, and Ridgewood where they have been in previous months. For the mainland for the month, 5.2 million gallons within 5,000 gallons a day of where it was last month. So very consistent flow on the mainland.
We're expecting that to change next month, though, right, with Buc-ee's?
Yes, we should see it increase. They're pulling about 35,000 gallons a day right now. So we should see a slight increase in that. Some of that's dependent on how much rainfall we get. The less rainfall we get, more water use we get because people use irrigation as well. So we'll see how it comes out. But yes, Buc-ee's typically is on track to use about 1 million gallons a month right now. Of course, it's also just opened in summer, so that may not hold true in the winter months.
Two things, are we still gonna use the Mycene wells?
We're still going to use them. Obviously, Canal Road is very near being completed, which Mr. Klein will go over on the project report, and that will allow us to potentially dial back Golden Isles 1 and 2 with Canal Road online, but they'll still be connected to the system and ran daily, just maybe not as much. Same way with Brunswick Villa. Brunswick Villa runs daily, we just don't want to run it nonstop.
Licensing well.
No, it's not a Meissen well, it's a very deep, upper Floridan well, because that was put in the 40s.
And the 5 taste and odor complaint.
But most of those were dirty water complaints. People with, we were at, whether it was flushing, construction activity, something like that, we get dirty water complaints. But on our graph, you'll see very, little fluctuation, but in general, that trend stays pretty consistent month to month on the mainland. St. Simons for the month. As you would expect, and is always the case, most of the usage is on the south end, but all 4 wells producing at least 17 million gallons for the month for a total flow of 3.1 million gallons. Makes sense. June, heavy tourism month. So 3.1 million gallons for St. Simons. And typically, particularly in the summertime when we get taste and odor complaints on St. Simons for the month, it's because somebody has got to either a rental property or a second home, and they have not drained the hot water heater in the last 3 months, and they get odors in their hot water. So, if you have odor, if you're smelling sulfur in the water, particularly if you're in the shower, our immediate suggestion to you is please go drain your hot water heater, let it fill back up, and see if it goes away.
Can you explain why that happens?
As it heats up, the sulfur comes out of the water more, goes into the gaseous phase, and also, particularly because it's been sitting there for a while, a lot of that sediment stays in and settles out and doesn't get a chance to move through the system. So a little bit less flow than we had last year. If you remember last year, May and June were exceedingly dry last year, so that's why you saw such a huge spike in June of last year. And then it started raining and didn't stop for 3 months. So let's hope that's not going to happen this year. South Mainland, Fancy Bluff and Old Brookman. Fancy Bluff, not as much flow as we typically would have there for the month. Brookman still ticking right along though, 354,000 gallons a day. That should be a 0 on taste and odor complaints there. I apparently missed typing that number in there. But again, pretty consistent flow month to month. Slight variations, but pretty consistent flow down at exit 29. In that area, we are, if you've been out there, we are seeing some more growth in the area, so we expect those numbers to tick up. Particularly, we got a new apartment complex that should be coming online in the next month or two. That should, with the flows that they see at apartment complex, will be a noticeable increase on the daily flow rate out there at Clement Bell Farms, and then the townhomes at Southport Parkway, as they get more and more occupied, those numbers, we should start seeing those come up. Any questions on the water report? Wastewater report. Academy Creek for the month, 7.1 million gallons a day at Academy Creek for the month. And if you look at the influent concentrations, one thing to jump off the page is a drastic reduction in the influent TSS. That is because as the project has continued forward, we are no longer having to augment the RAS concentration by opening the drains on the clarifiers back to the head of the plant. So that is an actual true influent number. Typically would be higher than that. We did have some rainfall for the month that diluted that a little bit, but those previous month at 1,000 and 1,500, those are not true representations. That's because we were recycling RAS through the influent by opening the drains back to the head of the plant. But other than the ongoing process of getting the ammonia back down, everything at the Academy for the month was within limits. 93% BOD removal. That is not due to not removing BOD, but because we only had 87 parts coming in for the month due to the I&I coming into the facility. 95% TSS, again, not necessarily due to high TSS leaving the facility, but just that lower influent concentration. We do have one of the filters back online. The filters had been bypassed for the previous 2 months to install a new 48-inch line as a portion of the project. One of the filters is back online now, so the TSS number should be even lower next month with that filter back online. We're still waiting on work to be accomplished by the manufacturer on the second filter. 2.25 maximum daily rainfall for the month. The flow meter, or the rain gauge from USGS only said 3.7 for the month. That's much lower than the other two plants, so I think they may have missed some data on that one for the month of June. But that was the reading and reported as seen. You'll see a slight reduction from the previous 2 months on sludge to the landfill. That is not because we're not processing sludge, that is because we are actually catching up. So that number is starting to be a truer representation of what we should see each month. We actually have space in our digesters for the first time in years, so we're making progress on the sludge there at Academy Creek. As you can see, month to month, flows change wildly at the wastewater plants due to needed addressing of I&I issues in the facilities. I did mention last year, the month of June was exceedingly dry, and then it started raining for 3 months, so let's hope that trend does not happen this year. St. Simons for the month, 3.6 million gallons a day. If you look over at the rainfall total towards the end of the page, 5.6 is what the reading was on St. Simons. I think that's probably a truer representation than the number we got from the rain gauge near Academy Creek. But everything at the plant for Dunbar Creek operated very effectively, everything within limits. Again, ammonia number rounded to 0. It was actually 0.04, but with only reporting one significant digit, it shows up as a 0. But 97% BOD, 97.5% TSS removal, and that's including lower influent BOD and TSS concentrations due to the rainfall that we received. So very consistent month to month out at Dunbar Creek. The only thing that really changes out there is what the influent number is due to the need to address I&I issues at the facility. And Southport, 600,000 gallons a day on the effluent reading. Staff is looking to identify why the gap in the influent and effluent numbers is widening. That should not be happening, so they're addressing that. I suspect what has happened, what we found out previously, there is a portion of the grit system, wash water that goes through the grit system that is pulled off before the influent meter and is put back in after the influent meter, and I suspect that's what's causing the problem. Again, we got to confirm whether that bypass has been opened back up again. But the plant doing very well down at exit 29, 97% BOD, almost 99% TSS removal for the month. And again, like I said, 6.5 inches of rain at exit 29, 5.6 inches of rain on Dunbar. I don't think it was only 3 inches of rain at Academy, given those other numbers being in very close proximity to one another. So moving along there now, and we did address a long-standing generator issue at exit 29. So staff took care of an issue down there, so got that taken care of. So check that one off the list that we have been dealing with for several months now. It helps if you hook them up in the right order.
So all our generators hooked up now?
No. At Academy, the new generators, one of the new generators is hooked up, but not permanently hooked up. It's temporarily hooked up to, because the other one was not. We're going through some middle review on that project. They have not begun construction.
What about all the others? Did we get a bunch of generators?
We got 8 generators. We got 3 at Academy and 5 at well sites. They're all part of the same construction contract. They have not begun construction of any of those assets yet. We're just doing some middle review at this point.
What did that contract?
The POPCO, yes, sir. We got a meeting next week, tomorrow, Friday? Yeah. I don't know what day of the week it is. So yes, within the next few days, we have a meeting with them. Yeah, whenever it shows up on my calendar, we'll meet with them.
How long is the construction period for that?
It was 9 months, 10 months, 270 days. We have not issued a notice to proceed because they're checking on lead times. There's one panel for the large generator at Academy Creek. They're trying to determine the lead time on that panel. So it'll be a situation where we want them to start at Academy Creek, but due to the lead time on that panel, they may start at the well sites.
They won't be finished till after hurricane season.
They will absolutely not be finished till after hurricane season. I just hope they're finished before hurricane season next year.
You ready for the pictures?
If y'all are, we'll let Todd do some talking.
All right.
Oh, great. We had a shot of Todd to start us off.
Yeah, my apologies for the
Ty?
That is Todd.
the quality of the first picture in particular. Good afternoon, Commissioners. So,
Modeling for that?
Sir, he is inspecting.
Jason's too fast with his camera. That's fast enough. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Using the force.
Telekinesis. Yeah, no, this is kind of
Maybe that was what was holding the nickel up.
it could have been. Yeah, man. So yeah.
Todd was doing old school inspection methods for vibration testing.
Yeah, so just for Commissioner, for y'all's, you may already know this, forgive me if you already do. When you have a separate motor that drives your pump, the motor puts the power to the pump, that's what moves the water, obviously. You got two big shafts that go together, it's very important to have those shafts lined up. So the pump techs are there to do that, and they do that with shimming and this and that, have it as lined up as, you're never gonna be perfect, but as close to as lined as possible. They have indicators that they do this and that. This is the old school test, you lay a nickel on the edge, on top of the motor, and you check for vibration, and this one passed the nickel test. So I didn't mind providing the nickel, by the way.
If you lay it flat, it'll always pass.
Well, I've seen some pretty rough
You can
running
still
ones that might
see,
bounce
yeah.
that flat. Yeah, you know. Anyway, that's another shot of the. This was during, I'll say, a manufacturer startup of numerous components of the production facility there. Nice, good shot of the inside of the. I like the lighter color machine gray myself. I think that looks real good. Makes a bright appearance inside for the operators. That's the pump techs in the background doing their thing, laughing at me with my nickel. And next picture below is a lot of electricians. Mr. Grantham working with them, walking through the control side of things. And you can see that is actually an independent building. If you look back behind. Segregated with air conditioning. Keep those electronic components nice and cool. All right. There's Mr. Matt there working with one of our young superintendents, looking at chlorine. We were just speaking about the chlorine system. We're going to have a few bugs there. One of the last remaining items. There's Mr. Tyler there in the bottom picture there. He's from Thomas & Hutton. He's our assigned project manager. Doing a couple checks there as well.
So there's really just one thing holding up, starting that up right now.
Right, so the last component really is working out the final bugs. I believe some solenoid type issues with the chlorine injection system. So of course, for obvious reasons, that's got to be running correctly so that we don't under or over chlorinate the water that's sent to the system. So that's being worked out. Should be very close. Pump station 4002, which is one of the three. There is our generator docking station installed.
Hasn't been tested yet.
Hasn't been tested yet. No.
The generator docking station has been the last remaining thing for a couple of months on that. There was a delay on getting those shipped from the manufacturer.
Right. The purpose of the docking station is to make it as uniform as possible and as easy as possible for the operators to hook up a generator when needed.
The stations that have the docking stations, we pull the generator up, it's hooked up in less than 10 minutes. It takes, just back it in there, pull the cables out, it's hooked up in 10 minutes. The ones we have to actually go in and hardwire into the top of the breakers, those are more 45 minutes to an hour to get done. So these stations cut the time to get a station on generator in at least a quarter of the amount of time, sometimes more than that, depending on how difficult it is to actually get the thing tied into the breakers.
Usually not perfect working conditions when you're trying to get a generator
Usually not
rigged up
perfect
either,
working
so
conditions.
having that open panel is not a good.
Why do we have any hardwire?
There was not a generator docking station installed on a pump station or a wastewater facility in Glynn County until 2 years ago. All of them were hardwired in. They have the tie breakers where you have a main, and then the secondary where you slide the breaker at the top, slide the bar at the top to lock it out, and you have to bring the 3 leads into the top of the panel. That was a standard install for all of our pump stations, and if you go out to 130 or so of our pump stations, that's what they've still got. So we have to bring the little pigtail connectors because you have the the generator cables won't actually go into the top, so you have to put the Polaris lugs and bring the smaller cables into the top.
I'm surprised nobody's gotten shocked.
We don't let but just a handful of people do that.
All right, next project is pump station 4044. Looking really good out there. Last little bit of grass and put in place. The road cut for our horseman discharge to the receiving manhole in the connector out there is done. And Glynn County right-of-way permit coordinator has signed off on the installation. They are happy with that paving job. Of course, it's under warranty. We're going to keep an eye on that, as with all paving repairs. Traffic beats on it. Make sure it stays in good shape. That's a 12-month warranty. Another good shot there, looking at high-level view of the station itself down in there. Hardly notice it don't drive by anymore.
All the projects necessitate us putting that in. So they come to fruition, some things happening out there. That station, we had to update it because
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir. I'm
sir.
sorry.
100%.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, absolutely. So this station, if this picture here, zoom in a little bit. Correct. Chairman, great question. So this was the old station here, 444. Tiny little wet well, undersized for the flow. It's coming to it, left problems. The commercial business right here wasn't too fond of this being right in their view, all that kind of thing. So absolutely, that station had lived its life, and growth in the area, the flow coming back exceeded what it was able to do.
There's been continued residential growth along Pepper Tree Crossing back in there, and then over at is it still called the Promenade behind Home Depot?
Promenade, exactly.
And there's
right.
just a couple of others that have tied in along the way as well.
Correct. More Walker Road area, there's more
Yeah.
apartment complex prospects coming in upstream. Whatever may happen with the mall area over there, everything comes in here. So we're in really good shape there. The next, as growth comes and continues, who knows, maybe if we do master plan, certainly we'll take a look at this. What else is going to come to this station here? What will be the next upgrade? Probably going to be a receiving gravity upgrade coming down as the flow increases. I believe it's a 12-inch receiving gravity. We have that dialed back. It's sized for future growth, that station is, but we have it dialed back so it doesn't surcharge that receiving gravity. It's very short force main.
And that goes gravity all the way to 4021 in front of the old Sonic.
Correct, right.
I think it gets to be a 24-inch out there on Altama.
Right now, Tam is where it changes to transition 24, it upsizes to there. So we'll evaluate that, which is the best route when we do the gravity upgrade at that point. Okay, Dunbar Creek rehab.
Yeah, so if you go scroll to the second picture there, the overview, but the second picture there, the tanks for the new chemical addition for phosphorus removal. We'll have to add alum and lime for phosphorus removal. The tanks have been delivered and set. We are waiting on the pump skids. We've got one pump skid, but not the other. And the piping has about 80% completed. And we've got to, obviously, once the pump skids get here, get all the wiring done to make the pumps run. But that's very near completion. Like I said, one of the two pump skids has been delivered and is on site. We're waiting on the other one to show up.
that's for phosphorus removal, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll have 3 dosing points for alum. Most likely, we will be utilizing the one going into the aeration basin before the influent before the aeration basin, so we get adequate mixing with that alum. But we can also go to the clarifiers or post clarifiers before the filter. So we'll have 3 dosing points to determine which one is most effective.
And that one's clarifiers down.
We need to do some maintenance on that clarifier. So we put the new one online, took that one down. We need to do some work. We've got some holes in the launders we need to patch up, things like that. So previously with only 2 clarifiers, it was very difficult to do maintenance on those clarifiers. So having a third one during normal flow conditions gives us an opportunity to get in there and do the maintenance we need to do. So as soon as that one's fixed, we're going to take the one in the middle off and fix items on that one.
And all of this is set so we can go up to 5 MGD from 4 MGD.
Yes, sir.
Next project to look at is Pump Station 4001, again, one of the 3 pump station electrical upgrades going on. This is down on the south end of town, close to the port entrance, and it's just a shot of the new electrical panel shed. Generator docking station again. You can see inside the station here with these. Again, trying to standardize those generator connections. All right, one we're very proud of here. This is the completed station. No chuckles.
Which one
No
is the
chuckles.
aftershock? That one or the one I'm seeing below?
Man, yeah, I was just counting on my laugh count is
Yeah.
just not getting there. Yeah, so this is affectionately called the chicken coop. It is there no more.
This was a private pump station. We were not operating this pump station.
Not operating the station, so this was only serving at the time Golden Shores Mobile Home Park, and this is what it looks like today. So as part of the working with the property owner, we obtained 50 by 50 pump station site. Now we have a nice, we'll call it regional station there that can accept flow, not only from the immediate basin there at Golden Shores Mobile Home Park, but also adjacent and across Highway 17 when the time comes for that.
We set elevations to allow us to extend gravity if necessary.
This station was designed.
The station was designed in-house, yes.
Second one, we did 4116.
Yeah, we've done, for design build sets, yes, second.
No, 4116 by the Public Safety Complex that Southern Civil did. We did the in-house design on that as well.
Yep, design, construction management as well, also, so, that was in an effort to use our internal talents for that. Pretty good looking station. I think some key things to point out here that maybe we did a little differently this go around. We're trying, always looking for better mouse traps. Here, it's above ground piping. Not everybody's a fan of above ground piping. I myself am, because it's easy for operators to get to and work on, keep an eye on. When it's down in a vault, it's forgotten about, never maintained, to be honest. So this is also, it's high density polyethylene, it's polypipe, so it's plastic. We check with manufacturers to make sure there's no issues with UV radiation and that kind of thing. Being exposed to sunlight, of course, would come to mind. No problem on that end as far as manufacturers tell us. Check to see how it goes. We're trying to use plastic and PVC wherever possible in our sewer collection system, so we don't have to come back and replace this stuff. It's just we have our collection system is very harsh on carbon steels and iron. So anything else to point out here? Here's a new carbon filter that actually our contractor showcased to us on the 44 project. We like the way that works, so we tried it there too. And the concrete work it's a new kind of a new style, but we put a lot of concrete out there. Again, trying to think of the operators. They're out there working in the middle of a hurricane, keeping their feet dry. Well, as dry as possible. Not standing in standing water is the intent.
And making sure there's not tripping hazards.
No tripping hazards. That's, from, obviously they're gonna be working from the stations, control panel, back and forth, wet wells, all this and that. So have a nice transition periods, easily accessible bypass connections, open wide entrance gates here, and, just a lot of things we really try. We really get a lot of feedback from the operations folks, and, they're our clients internally. So.
Filters for odor,
Yes.
Carbon filters, just
change out the carbon.
Yeah, they've changed them out about every 3 months. But it depends on, obviously, what's at the station. Sometimes it's a little quicker, sometimes it's a little slower.
We put some of those at manholes in our system too.
Not that exact style. We've used like hang them in the bags, the carbon disc. They work out reasonably well. If there's extremely high H2S concentrations, they dissolve very quickly, but if it's not too bad, they seem to work a little bit better on the pump stations than they do with the manholes.
So that's all plastic piping?
Except for the valves.
Commissioner Ford, yes, it is.
I know.
The piping is plastic. The fittings are gonna, most of those are gonna be, you'll see some stainless ones in there, but the valves, of course, are gonna be iron body.
How does the plastic do with the sun?
Great question. So, our manufacturers, we think of that too. What's the effect of the sunlight on their UV
We used
radiation?
to have a lot of issues.
Yeah. So they actually add additives anymore into the plastic itself. We've been, the manufacturers seeing it being extruded and everything even, but a lot of research on that. It's a test. We're gonna see how it goes. But we're told it shouldn't have any, no effects. So, all right, great. Pretty proud of this one here. Another shot overview of that. You can see with the new Highway 17 alignment, the new widening roadway going in right there. There's our station right next to it. Another good shot right there, looking on the inside. Our contractor, I feel, did a fine job on this.
Have station's been online for 3 or 4 weeks, and to my knowledge, hadn't had a minute's worth of trouble out of it.
That's it.
When's Highway 17 gonna be
That is a GDOT project, sir. You'll have to ask them.
Todd?
I would not venture, yes, sir. Sometime this century, I imagine, yes. All right, next project, looking at this. Pump Station 3101, again, that's the third of the trifecta. This is on the south end, off Southport, very next to, or adjacent to Southport Water Pollution Control Facility down there. So the upgrade, and the good news here, finally get the report. I'll let y'all can see it, I can zoom if needed, but anyway, there's Comcast has a little building over here, it's super top secret, whatever they have going on. But there's a communication line that has draped over the top of our site. I guess ever since the site was there. And it's a hazard for our backcon crews going in and out. Obviously, they're raising the snorkel and all that, getting around. Last thing they want to do is snag into that thing. So that has now been moved and is being buried by Comcast outside of our station. One of the little details that we made sure happened with this improvement. Again, it's mostly electrical, hardly anything to do with the structure or piping or anything like that, pumps even, or being handled in-house. I don't know if we got the second ones out or not, but I know we had a.
We sent the pumps for rehab and got them back, and they were wired incorrectly, so we sent them back to get them to rewire them again. Obviously at their cost.
That's it. So as soon as we get those pumps back, we'll do a startup on this station here and get this one closed out. That's the third of the three there. Another little innovation since we're right here. Showcase. One of the biggest issues you deal with corrosion is the hydrogen sulfide gas. It's a byproduct of what happens in the wastewater system. These conduits feed the cables that go to the pumps and the controllers and the floats and all that down in the wet wells. That's where all the gas is formed, and that gas is going to find its way out. And a lot of times it'll find its way out through a conduit if the cable glands, things like that fail. And if it's just a straight pipe connection, man, you're direct injecting that gas right here since it's contaminated. So we have, again, designed with operations input in-house in the Senate. We have it in detail. It's actually been copied by people at people so far that like this idea. It's actually an air gap that's in there. So the conduits coming in here, they're open to the atmosphere, so any gas that does make it up to here gets to find its way out, and then these are cable glanded or protected to the gas.
I've been told, I've not confirmed, but I've been told the JEA has started installing that on their pump stations. Typically, we rob ideas from them, but they stole this one from us, so.
Yeah. What do they say about mimicry? I'll take that. Right. Academy Creek.
Academy Creek there. This photo is a little bit dated because we're making a lot of progress, which is good to see. You see on those 6 clarifiers there on the top center of the page, number 1 is empty right to the left, or up. There we go. That one's empty. That one is back full now because the RAS has been started up on clarifiers 1 and 3. And the one, number 2, just to the south there, that one is now offline, and they're supposed to start up the RAS on numbers 2 and 4 Tuesday. And that will get us new RAS pumps on all 6 of our clarifiers, and there will be one more startup for 2 additional RAS pumps in that building in between clarifiers 3 and 4 at the top, Todd, the white building at the top there. There will be 6 pumps. And so there will be a swing pump in the middle to provide backup pumping for clarifiers 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. So they'll come back the second week of August to start up the swing pumps. And that will wrap up all of the RAS work that needs to be completed. And current conversation with contractor on the way back from Savannah today, they're hoping the UV system is started up within the next 3 to 4 weeks as well. So we're rapidly approaching the end of that, as tends to be the way. Well, that is not there anymore. That bypass is no longer there. That has been moved down to the effluent side, so they could install a secondary effluent line. And as tends to be the case, a lot of activity happens in the last 4 to 6 weeks of a project. Seems like you get more work done the last 4 to 6 weeks than you do the 6 months before then. So they've got a rhythm now. They're moving along, and it will help us out at the plant. Doing the RAS project, we're having as we've staged through that for the last 3 to 4 months, we've had to bring clarifiers down, bring them back up, move them around. And so it's kind of, as I say, a wastewater plant's a giant digestive system. So the more consistent you can keep it, the better it is. When you start turning things on and off, it causes some problems to restabilize. So hopefully after Tuesday, it will be back to the point where it will be stabilized for a while on the biology there. So really looking
You have the overflow.
All right. Well, Todd, let me just come up there.
Yep.
All right, so Todd pointed out the bypass pump set up here. There are 5 bypass pumps sitting here in this very overview here. Those have been relocated, but that manhole that they were bypassing out of, to get 5 suction lines in there, they took the barrel section off the manhole. In the high flow situation, the contact chamber here, we've got this side off in order to put in the UV equipment. There is one 6-foot weir at the end of that, which started to cause head loss and backs up through the facility. And with that barrel section off, it's a few feet lower than it normally is. And so it was past all of the clarifiers before disinfection is where it came out of. So they're supposed to restack this manhole up by the end of the week, and then hopefully, like I said, within 3 to 4 weeks, have the UV system online. When we get the UV system online, we'll have additional weir length, which will reduce the head loss leaving the facility. So at high flows, it will not back up. Under normal conditions, if both sides would have been on, this would not have happened, but the head loss over one 6-foot weir was substantial. And these, when this shot was taken, you can see if you go back in old photos of our clarifiers, you can see our clarifiers on the top are starting to clear up substantially more than they used to be. There used to be a lot more solids. Say up here, you see some solids here. Those solids are typically either one of 2 things, or either scum, which is grease and things like that that get in the system. Those are kind of hard to get rid of. Or when we're holding too many solids on the plant, it can be dead slugs floating up there. That all gets skimmed off and pumped off. It doesn't go out. But when you see these clearing up, we're getting better control over the solids on the plant, so we're not having any dead sludge sitting on top of the clarifier. So that's a visual indicator that things are headed in the right direction. And as I said, we have space in these digesters, which is good to see. You can see where the normal water level is in this one. Yeah, there's portions of the wall we're getting to inspect. We haven't got to inspect in a while. Oh, if you keep scrolling down, we got some photos of the interior piping on the RAS stations.
Yep.
There, that's one of the new RAS pumps, the green Vaughn chopper pump. It will chop rags up because occasionally you'll hear a bit of a lull in the pump as it starts grinding something up, and then it shoots it out and it goes back to the way it was. So those have been very effective. Got it. Somebody was parked in my spot, so I had to move down today. I'm blaming them.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, it wasn't you. So those are the last 2 RAS pumps that have to be installed there. That's in RAS station number 1. You can see the grading to the right where that fan is at. That is actually how we have to lower those RAS pumps through there. They'll get a A-frame and lower that through there. It's a little bit of a touch and go situation trying to get it where it needs to go, but it is effective, and those new pumps are going to pay tremendous dividends. We actually haven't been able to get the full benefit of the new pumps yet because they so out-pump the old RAS pumps, we've actually had to have them turned back because the old pumps would deadhead pumping into they pump into a combined line, and the old pumps deadhead and start slipping. So we haven't actually been able to ramp them up to the point where we actually will be running them at. So they run at 1,800 RPM. We have not been able to run them so far over about 1,200 RPM. During startup, we'll run them up to 1,800 and confirm they run, but we back them back down so we don't deadhead the existing RAS pumps. So we should start seeing even more benefits as soon as those last old pumps are taken offline and the new pumps are started up next week. And while I was gone, Miss LaDonna witnessed a startup that went better than the 2 startups I was here to witness, so she's going to next week's startup, not me. Yes. And the top there, you can see, that's all the old fittings and piping that came out of the RAS stations that they've pulled out. So we'll be hauling off to Glen Iron and Steel, getting a little bit of revenue back on the scrap sales.
It's funny when you're selling, the
They don't-
price hadn't gone up.
It's
but
not,
when
it
you're
hasn't
buying-
went up near as much as what the buying cost has went up.
All right, pretty shot there from our outfall too. You see the roseate spoonbill colony that's out there. All right, Brunswick Villa area sewer extensions. Glad to report the paving at least is, well, all, you know, as far as the improvements, the pipes and all that done, essentially done. The paving is about 50%, closing in on 50%.
But Townsend and Habersham are
Yeah,
back open.
Yeah, back open, and side streets are left to pave out there now, as you can see.
All the sewer lines in,
Yes, sir.
they tied on.
Got a handful, just a couple out there that I had been told. Yeah, every time I would go out there, you'd see a septic tank truck out there, pumper truck out there, backing into somebody's house. So I know that the need is definitely out there. We should be seeing a lot of new members joining the club here. A good shot there, looking down the street. It's pretty typical during construction. There's a couple times during rain and whatnot, it got a little washed out, but for the most part, contractor kept everything in good shape, passable. Typical paving activity in there.
The street at the top paved now.
No, sir. The side street's still yet to be paved. Unless they did them in the last 3 days.
They were putting base down last week when I went out there. I haven't been out there this week.
Yeah.
End of last week, they were putting base down.
They should be tightened up, but not complete that I'm aware of. Okay, Division 1, all right, water production facility, exit 29. That's our 3-division project. First one is the water production facility. It's improvement of the well site. And that's what's going on right there. See a lot of dirt work happening. It's on the site of the treatment plant. A little bit of stop and regroup once the water line was discovered out there in the way, and work through that. A little bit with the power feed into the plant itself. Got that figured out. I believe we're beyond that hurdle. Another good shot of the site right there. And actually, okay. I was saying that looked like it was under construction. I said, they're all done now. These are the townhomes in the back right here. These are just the fences, the array of wooden fences. So you can see the proximity to residential development next to our site, our plant site. Something we had to consider with the, during design. Get some dirt in there, getting the site graded out, materials arriving. The contractor has plenty of room for lay down. Good duct of pipe, you'll find generally at a water production facility. A lot of fittings and whatnot sit out there. Good thing for them, it's a good secure site.
Which field did we put in there?
Not a lot. It's not a lot. Maybe 12 inches, 16 inches or so. It's not much.
The roadway was built up, elevated a little bit higher, so we just smoothed it out. Because that side did hold water a little bit because of the way it's graded out there. Which I think we've got some counties addressing some other issues out there with drainage correct?
So the Yeah, you can't see it, I don't think any, well, yeah, so our entrance road, none of the pictures really show it. Glynn County does own the parcel of property that goes from Southport Parkway to our gate here at the plant, right here. The plant site itself is no water and sewer parcel, or anything on water and sewer commission. That entrance road coming to is still in by the county board of commissioners. The development next to it is shedding some water onto, it's a dirt / gravel surface. And so we're getting some washing out, and, yeah, we're working with county staff. They're taking a look at that. I think there's some other issues on the other side that Glynn County staff is working with, that development on.
Yeah, I heard
And,
something about some,
Yeah, so we're, we threw our issue in there with them to take a look at and, talk to those folks too. Hopefully we'll be able to get something addressed. I think it may be just nothing more, they put a swale in or something, to keep that water from running off through across our road, or Glynn County's, property. Okay, exit 42 elevated storage tank, that's up there. You know, if you panned a little bit to the north and looked across the interstate, you might see Buc-ee's. You can definitely see it while you're standing on the site right there,
right there by the Conlon project.
right? Conlon, and they called me yesterday or today. I talked to them this morning. And anyway, we always call it Project Bruin, but now they're apparently calling it something else.
Okay.
So anyway, we're going to continue calling it Project Bruin. This is Project Bruin warehouse over here. This is our elevated tank site that we work with Glynn County Development Authority to get.
They don't
And-
have a red line on our drawing. They have a red
Well,
line.
you got a cursor, he doesn't have a cursor on his picture.
What's it? That's what I was pointing.
Yeah.
What are we looking at? Red line? Oh,
They don't
this.
see
Yeah.
it, I don't,
Yeah, that's
I
not
don't see where the
good.
tank site is.
That's the Hook Point warehouse.
So this is our tank site right here.